50,000 people have now come in illegally in small boats since Labour has been in charge, and they declare it's not their fault. This is absolutely outrageous. Donald Trump has shown that you can stop illegal immigration if you actually try, but Labour isn't trying. Why? Because they don't really care. Labour has always wanted mass migration. It's always been the party of mass migration, and it wraps it up now in human rights that means that they pretend they are not allowed to stop it when in fact they don't have the will to stop it. So let's look at the numbers first. Well, the numbers coming in were beginning to come under control as the Rwanda scheme was about to come in. It had been delayed because of the left-wing human rights lawyers that had obstructed it, and because the courts had decided that they had it in their power to overrule Parliament. This was desperately unfortunate, to my mind, not the proper way for our constitution to work. Nonetheless, it had delayed Rwanda, but Rwanda was already working as a deterrent before it had come into effect. How do we know this? We know this because people were going to the Republic of Ireland, to Southern Ireland, rather than to Northern Ireland, because they thought they might be removed. So Rwanda was already in the foyer of success before Labour came in and scrapped it. Why did they scrap it? They scrapped it because it wasn't invented by them. It wasn't a Labour scheme, it was a Conservative scheme, and they just wanted to show that the Conservatives, anything the Conservatives did, wasn't going to work. Well, it didn't work because it wasn't actually tried, wasn't implemented. What did they promise instead? They promised to smash the gangs. Well, that was a lie. It wasn't merely misleading, it was simply untrue. No one in their right mind ever thought it would work as a scheme, and the gangs profit from the ease of getting in. It's a supply and demand issue. If the demand is there, the supply will be provided. The criminals will just keep on doing it, and they're not just doing it in small boats. The 50,000 is the ones we know coming over in dinghies, but I'm here in Kent today, and I've been told that people are being brought over into marinas coming in on yachts. So there's a first-class service as well as the tourist-class service that is taking place through the dinghies, through the small boats, where they get escorted by the British once they're handed over by the French in this extraordinary way where we seem to pay the French to provide a taxi service to bring illegal migrants over. Then the one-in, one-out scheme, which was meant to act as a deterrent, it hasn't done anything of the kind. Numbers have continued to come through, large numbers every day since that was announced. Why? Because it isn't a real deterrent. Your chance of being removed is slim. Even if you are removed, you go back to France, you don't go back to your country of origin, and the people we then select may be able to bring their families. So it actually is an incentive to people to get to France and then try and claim asylum in the United Kingdom. We will find that if it's properly implemented, we would get more people coming in than we've currently got. None of this is the answer. Donald Trump has shown us the way. What is the real answer? The real answer is to get serious. The real answer is to have deterrents that work and that make people think twice before they take the hazardous journey to come over to the United Kingdom. What has Trump done? Well, he sent people to El Salvador. Do we have the stomach for that? Are we too squeamish to wish to send people to a country where they'll be put in a large prison? We may not be willing to do that, but there are similar schemes that we could use. As I say, Rwanda was an opportunity. He's also taken on and won in the lawfare. Until recently, any federal judge could gum up the whole works of a program of the President of the United States. But the Supreme Court ruled recently that that wasn't how it worked, that it had to be a full judgment of the Supreme Court before the President could be blocked. It couldn't be an obscure judge in an out-of-the-way place. And again, we need to learn from that because we need to put power back where it belongs. And that is with the King in Parliament, the Parliament that you, the British people, elect, that determines how you're governed. That's where power should be, not with unelected judges. If we don't do this, the numbers will continue to get worse. The human rights law that we have got and the human rights jurisprudence makes it almost impossible to get rid of people. And this isn't just the people coming over in the small boats, it's the people who have committed crimes. Now, another big initiative from the Labour Party that people who've committed crimes will go when they are found guilty, not at the end of their sentence. So we won't clog up our prisons with thousands of people who could be removed to their country of origin. Why won't this work? Well, because Labour's not telling the truth here. They are not straight. But they're saying that this will happen as soon as possible. But what does as soon as possible mean? It means as soon as the human rights complaints, concerns, issues are dealt with. So imagine that somebody has just been arrested for a crime, charged, found guilty, sentenced, say it's for theft, to a year in prison, or even 6 months in prison, and they're meant to be removed. Well, what happens next? They say, oh no, we've got a human rights case. We've got a child here who likes chicken McNuggets and can't get them in Albania or wherever the country is. And what that means is the person stays whilst the case is heard. Oh, and how is that case funded? By you, the British taxpayer, because it is paid for by legal aid. And this is the other part of it. The services we are providing to people in this country who have no right to be here. Legal aid is one of them, which is a racket and is something we should not be providing to people who have no right to be in this country. If people want to bring legal cases in this country who are not British, they should be funded by charitable institutions or wealthy individuals, not by you, the taxpayer. I simply do not believe that foreigners should have any right to be funded through the courts. That is not our business as taxpayers. It is an abuse of the system. It should stop. But it's not only legal aid that they get. The Daily Mail has revealed all sorts of other benefits that are given to people who have come into this country improperly, illegally, as the government likes to call it, irregularly. They get more free healthcare, they get more free dental care than British people are able to get. They get housed in hotels, which British people would have to pay for themselves. They get money for their food, which British people, if they're working, they don't get. They can go to food banks. They get all sorts of benefits for free when they ought to be removed from this country. This is absolutely crazy. We should not be giving people incentives to come here and lavishing comfort on them when they get here. We should make it difficult to get in, and once they are in, they should be removed. This is not impossible, but it requires backbone. And this government doesn't have backbone. So Keir Starmer and Lord Hermer are human rights lawyers to their fingertips. How they have made their livings, how they have prospered, how they have succeeded within their political party is not by being tough and rigorous about people who are here illegally. It's not by being tough and rigorous about how taxpayers' money is spent. It's been through advocacy of human rights laws. Now, let me be absolutely clear. I think we should pull out of the European Convention on Human Rights. I do not believe that foreign law has any place in the United Kingdom. The best protection of my and your human rights is through the ballot box, is through the King in Parliament, is through our historic legislative system. If people don't like the law in this country, the protection of their human rights is to vote for a government that will give them a different type of law. It's not to say that politicians with a democratic mandate can be overruled by judges with a political agenda. And the judges have become increasingly political. That is something we have seen 20 years ago. Nobody questioned the politics of the judges, but now we do. If you look at Baroness Hale, of the extraordinary judgment over the prorogation, she voted against so many of Rishi Sunak's efforts to tighten up the immigration system. As the most senior judge, we now know that she had political opinions that were hostile to tightening up the rules on immigration. And we see this through the eccentric judgments that have come out that have made it easier and easier for people to stay here who really ought to be removed. And as I say, it can be done. Donald Trump has shown that it is possible, but you've got to deport people, you've got to stop people coming, you've got to make sure that there is a disincentive, a deterrent to coming into the United Kingdom. I'm afraid, as I've said in previous posts, 50,000 is the tip of the iceberg. It's not just those who have come in small boats, not just the extra number coming in through marinas. It is those who are overstaying their visas, and it is then the families that they're able to bring with them. This is leading to millions of people coming into this country, which is more than the country can cope with in terms of our resources, in terms of our infrastructure, and frankly in terms of the patience of the British people. We now feel that too many people have come in, our good nature is being taken advantage of, and that it must be stopped. And Labour is not telling the truth. And the British people are getting increasingly fed up with this. They want to take back control of our borders. They want sensible laws. Yes, they may protect people fleeing the worst tyranny, but they don't allow people to go home or stay here because their child likes chicken McNuggets. It's out of control, it's out of hand. The government is not telling the truth. This must change. It must be brought under control. It is possible to do. It's been shown to be possible to do. That is what we need in this country, and I think it's what the British people are crying out for. The numbers are simply too high. Thank you for watching.